You're listening to the Low Pressure Podcast, the podcast for skiers.
Presented by CMH Heli Skiing and Peak Performance.
The Low Pressure Podcast is sponsored by CMH Heli Skiing, where you can choose from 11 unique locations and experiences, including 4, 5, 6, and 7-day signature trips, the brand new single-day trips. You can do small groups with just you, 4 friends, and a guide, or the private and exclusive, where you get the whole place just to yourself. So find your next adventure at cmhheli.com. The Low Pressure Podcast is also sponsored by Peak Performance. There are many ways to make it down a mountain, but the best line is your line. And the adventure is there, so make it yours. Visit peakperformance.com and get the gear to unlock your free ride spirit. All right, we did it.
Nice.
Cheers. This has been how many years in the making?
A few.
Well, welcome. As I was telling you before, I wasn't too concerned about it because when it works out, right? And I've said too, like sometimes there were moments where I'm like, I bet you I could get Marielle right now, but I don't actually need an episode right now. So it was just right time, right place. And the timing is great because look what we have here on the table. For those of you who aren't watching, for those of you that are listening, we have got the FIS Ski Cross Crystal Globe for 2023-2024 sitting on the coffee table. And high five to you. Congratulations for winning the overall. This is your fourth?
Yeah, my fourth. It was a long time coming in between, though.
Well, you see if I can remember this. You won your first one when you were still technically a junior, correct? 2012?
Yes. Yeah, 2011, 2012, I won the first one. It was my second year on the World Cup.
Right. And then you race in juniors that year too? And win the championship as well?
I forget. The one year that I won the World Junior Championships, I did the Senior World Championships and got silver.
Right.
I think it would have been 2011
I was just looking at
or 2013.
I was looking at the Canadian Olympic website earlier, just making sure I had all of the stats down.
I get a little bit mixed up.
Just because you win so much.
Good problems to have, but yeah, I think that it was the following season after I won my first Globe that I had the success at the World Champs and then the World Juniors.
So that's almost not fair. I can imagine all of these junior kids being like, why is she here? Why is she still allowed to be here? Because you just won the overall world championship, and then now you're going back and being, hey, what's up, everybody? And then smoking all those kids too. It was probably nice to see everybody again, but they were probably like, oh.
There was actually a few of us who were still juniors on World Cup.
Really?
And who all went to the World Junior Championship. So yeah, I get it, but it was my only chance to go and race World Junior Championship, so I wanted to take it. I was going to be too old the next year.
Because you wanted that title on the resume.
Kind of, I wanted that chance to everybody else.
Why not, right? You're starting out this Hall of Fame career from the start. So there's a lot to talk about because I have a lot of questions just because I'm super curious about it. Why don't we get started from the start?
Okay.
We'll start from the start. You originally, we know each other because we're neighbors. Mm-hmm. I could probably, now that the trees have got cut down, I could probably throw a rock and hit your driveway.
Pretty close, I think.
Just huck it over the neighbor's house here. But it said that you're born in North Van, but I've only known you to be here, and your family's here.
Oh yeah, that is kind of a funny stat on that website because...
That's where the hospital is?
That's where the hospital is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually, when I was born, my parents lived in Lions Bay, mm-hmm. and my mom was working in Whistler because she's a property manager and in accommodation. Mm-hmm. And I think when I was 6 months old, officially they moved to Whistler. So it just, my brother likes to say I'm not a real local because of my first 6 months of my life, because he is a true Whistlerite who's lived there, lived here his whole life, but...
He's got to hold that over on you.
Yeah, exactly.
I was actually interested because I don't know anybody who's ever lived in Lions Bay. So Lions Bay, for those listening, is Lions Bay is the pain in the ass section on the Sea to Sky Highway where you have to like go from 90 to 60 for like.
I think it's 80 to 60 now.
It's yes.
But yeah, I was just a baby, but my parents really loved it there. It's a beautiful spot.
I didn't know anybody actually lived there. I thought it was just like.
I've met actually a few more people. One of my friends who I met through the Olympics, his fiance grew up in Lions Bay.
Really?
And went to school in West Vancouver.
I just assumed it was all like old people, retirement.
No, people live there apparently.
No way. All right. Well, you learn something every day. Mm-hmm. So let's just say you're from Whistler, even though not officially. You that 6 months that you missed out on.
Yeah.
But yeah, you grew up here. Ski racing, were you in like the, I guess, free ride club hadn't really been started by that time? There's like, yeah, they were still doing, I guess it wasn't that far departed from when World Cups were being held on the Dave Murray downhill, sort of thing.
I started skiing when I was 2 on Magic Chair. Mm-hmm. Both my parents were ski instructors for a long, long time. That's what brought them to Whistler.
Right.
And then I started ski racing kind of in I think it was called ski scamps, like
ski scamps.
Or
no, yeah,
Red Stars or something. It wasn't like
ski scamps.
It doesn't exist anymore. Okay.
Yeah. I remember around 1990, I came skiing with my family when I was a kid. And it was like, ski scamps.
Yeah, so I did all of the kind of Whistler Blackcomb programs until I was 11. Mm-hmm. And a few of us, there was probably like 5 of us who got identified to join the Whistler Mountain Ski Club early.
Oh yeah. With special exemption.
Yeah, because I think you used to start. I forget I guess you would start at 12, and 12 and 13 are the first years. Now that's way different. Now I think you can start when you're like 9.
Right.
But yeah, a few of my friends and I started, and we did ski racing, and kind of just were learning from the big kids at that point.
Right.
And we couldn't race any like Whistler Cup or anything because we were too young, but
just learning how to rip gates and do that kind of stuff.
And so I went through that program. I did those, I guess, 3 years of what was called K1 at the time. Now it's called U14, I guess, whatever that is. And then actually when I was going to start high school, I kind of, I guess, had a moment and I didn't want to ski race anymore. I thought that the pressures of high school in grade 8 for some reason would be really different and difficult. And so I actually stopped ski racing. I didn't ski race for grade 8.
You didn't start snowboarding or something, did you?
I just, I grew up with my siblings. We all figure skated. So
right.
I really focused on that year, and then just school. And I actually had friends who were kind of poking me in the side all year long, being like, why aren't you skiing? This is ridiculous. And I skied for fun, but just not in a program.
Right.
And then the next year I kind of realized that was a mistake. And I went back into racing, did 2 years. And then I found ski cross.
Skier cross, I remember entering in like skier cross events in like, must have been 2003, 2004 when it first started to really become a thing. I remember the like Solomon Crossmax skis. Yeah. Remember those?
Yeah, and they had cool looking.
Because they had the binding that was mounted into the core. So it was like, it wasn't like drilled from the top. They had like...
Okay, I just was imagining the graphic of the like pink like...
Oh yeah, I'm thinking like it was almost like a checkerboard yellow and silver and blue.
Okay, maybe that was before the one.
And they had these bindings that didn't like drill in. They may have drilled in from the top, but they also connected from the side, almost like a pivot point or something. I don't really know what
the science
what
was.
That gimmick was specifically for. But I remember entering into the like skier cross events that were being held like next to the Blackcomb Park there.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's where I started.
Right.
Yeah.
Might have been around the same time. And I remember going into a race. I think I made the final. I came in like 4th or something like that. And I was like the best I ever did. And then I didn't do a lot of them. And I have that. I wonder if I could find it. I'll see if I can find it after this. But I have like the results sheet. Mm-hmm. And I was looking at it a few years ago, and on it, first place, it was Ashley McIver, first place. I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Who then went on to win the first Olympic gold medal. But everything we just talked about, there's a point that I want to make further down. So I want to get back on.
Okay.
I want to get it back on point. So you were like, like at that point in time, there wasn't really like free ride was a lot of fun, but there wasn't anything like free ride clubs or anything like that, right? So
I think it was kind of the start,
right.
because I know a few of the guys who I started ski cross with,
Mm-hmm.
we're from free ride,
Right.
and so, but they liked the idea of ski cross, and we were just kind of lucky that the Whistler Mountain Ski Club made us a program because there was interest.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that's how it ended up coming about.
Yeah. So we had, like, I was in first year FIS, which is like kind of the like entry into adult racing.
Right.
And my coaches were luckily pretty open at the time. They were like, oh, there's the race on Blackcomb. Why don't you guys go and try that for the day? I'm sure it'll be fun.
Right. Because even at that point in time, it's still kind of like babysitting.
Probably.
You know
like
what I mean?
you are technically children because you're in
And like
grade 10.
and like every single weekend, every single time you're on the hill, some like your instructors are gonna be like, oh, what are we doing tomorrow? The weather's not good. Like, well, let's send them over here. This will be different and fun. Like,
It'd be more fun for most kids than doing like GS gates all day.
right.
When you can see the race going on, like a run over with prizes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's a
right.
pretty cool opportunity. But I actually have pictures of doing ski cross on that course when I was like probably like 11
Right.
as well. So like it's cool to have that history. I'd love if it went back onto that side, because I think that side course was better. They've kind of moved it
To like ride skiers right of the
right
park.
now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have pictures of me with my hands up above on the gate, like tiny little kid, but
Ready to push
pretty
to
cool.
push through to the start kind of
yeah,
thing.
exactly.
That's really cool, because that was what, like 2004, 2005, that kind of thing.
Yeah, something like that.
And then the first Olympics for skier cross was 2010, and Canada, like you said, like we said just a minute ago, Ashley McIver ended up winning gold for that. And then the next year, you won gold. The next Olympics,
yeah,
you won the gold.
yeah.
And then the Olympics after that,
Kelsey
Kelsey
won the gold.
Surwa won the gold because she came in second.
Yeah, in Sochi.
In Sochi, the year that you won. So you guys were on the podium together.
Mm-hmm.
And then her and Britt came gold and silver.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess you skipped a year?
I got second.
Did Canada skip a year?
No,
for
because
gold?
it was yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so out of 4,
We had
Three
all
golds.
of 3 out of 4 for Canada, which is pretty
yeah.
special.
Pretty sweet. Okay, so I'm going to kind of jump around a little bit, but like speed up. So as I mentioned before, Hall of Fame. So you've won a gold in Sochi, correct? So the second one. And then silver in Pyeongchang, or was that the one? Beijing. So you had to wait
Yeah,
a couple.
I crashed in Pyeongchang,
Right.
unfortunately.
So you've already, well,
but I was the fastest on that track. I
Yes.
won the seating run.
okay, so let's, sorry to everybody listening who's dealing with me jumping around, but I just so many things I want to talk about, because I've been a fan of skier cross for a while, right? Like I've never been a big race, like ski race guy. You know, we'll watch them on CBC every once in a while, but I'd never really had like a reason to have a connection with it. Like, yeah, I love skiing, but it didn't really resonate with me because the only kind of racing I ever did was like high school racing, and it would be once a month. We'd hop on the bus and we'd do gates under Pontiac race course underneath
classic.
underneath the Emerald Chariot. It was like a 23-second race. And then we'd have the rest of the day off to go free ski and do whatever. That was like my that was the most racing that I did.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have an opportunity or a reason to like have some sort of a connection with it. So I was always like free ride, that sort of stuff. And then skier cross came about, and I was able to kind of do it a little bit. But I also loved the fact that you have to race with someone else. Like, in my opinion, it is the gnarliest racing. I know, like Super G, when they're going like crazy fast, that's pretty wild, but in a different way.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to compare. Like I don't really envy the downhillers and the Super G guys, because I feel like when I'm racing ski cross, I'm going pretty fast, but I think we're like maybe half the speed as what they're doing.
But you also have to worry about the 3 other people that are like crowding your lane, and like that's, you got to get your elbows out, right? Like
We're not allowed our elbows out. As soon as you like kind of chicken wing, that's when they're gonna have a look at you and do the slow-mo on the video and making sure you're not pushing off of people. And
okay, that's when you metaphorically have to get your elbows out.
Exactly, metaphorically. Yeah,
right. And really kind of battle. That's what it is. It's a battle. You're like at 4 other people at the same time through this wild course, and some of the booters are massive.
Yeah,
I remember I was talking to Stan Ray, who couldn't cut it as a skier cross racer. He may listen to this.
He did pretty well.
He did all right. But his life partner Kelsey won the gold medal. But he ended up going into free riding, which was the right choice for him.
Yeah.
But I remember I don't know if it was the 2 of them were talking about Stan doing these big airs or massive backflips being like gnarly and rad, and then Stan's like, no, you boost like 60-foot tables full speed with 3 other people like an arm's distance away from you through the air. That's way gnarlier. Like it is. So that's what appeals to me, is because it's just a wild sport where it's not just your performance, it's you can be completely upended, or you can be super victorious because of a decision by somebody else, which is like it's the only like winter sport really, I think, that affects that, or that happens.
And that's kind of my story at Pyeongchang, was like I was, like I said, fastest on that course, and that's what happened. I got caught between 2 girls because I was coming back from knee injury there.
Yes.
So it was a little bit different.
Because I remember that, because you had won the year before and you hadn't really raced that season.
No, because we were doing this very innovative still approach. I had a ACL MCL repair. Mm-hmm. So I kept the same, like my own tissue. And it got me back there, and it was
like fast too. Yeah. Wasn't it like 2 or 3 months? I think
it was 3 months.
Right.
And it was definitely a lot of work to get there, and it was super exhausting, but I got there, and where I was lacking was racing. So I got in the start gate, and I'd done 1 heat basically with my teammates, and it's not really that comparable when you're competing against other nations.
You basically like blew your knee earlier that season.
Yeah, in October.
Rehabbed a knee injury in 3 months and got back to the Olympics. I remember watching some of your quali runs, and you were so fast. Like
maybe too fast.
Not even and like, not because you mentioned it, but I legitimately remember this going, oh my God, she's gonna smoke everybody. Yeah. I was like, she is like, you looked so fast and so dangerous.
I didn't look fast at the beginning, to be fair. Like,
no,
because I hadn't done a course.
Yeah.
Like we had done, our team built kind of a similar start feature in the Blackcomb Park. Mm-hmm. And I'd done that, and I'd hit the booters in the park, but I hadn't done a full course. So I did that first run, like I was standing in the start gate, like, well, you did all this work, now you gotta go. And that course was scary.
Was your first full run at the Olympics?
Yeah.
So you hadn't done a full even training lap?
That what like you do training at the Olympics. Okay, so that like first training run, it was like huge course. Yeah. And I was fine. I made it down, but it was probably not fast, but like pat on the back just for making it there.
I made it to the Olympics.
Yeah. Great, right? And like, but yeah, I remember standing in the start gate and being like, well, this is what we were like the goal to make it here. And I did that. So like that was an accomplishment unto itself, but that's why I like take away the positive of like I was the fastest, because I had a bummer of a day on race day, but I got there, which was pretty impressive.
Something you can take
and
away
a lot
from
of hard work. Like it was like every single day was all for making it there, and I did it, which is
because like you said, you didn't even like you'd blow your knee 4 months before the Olympics. You'd probably thinking there's 0 chance I'm
100%.
Yeah.
Like when I crashed, I was in Switzerland, and my physio is like coming down to check on me, and he's like,
was that Mike?
Mike, yeah. And Mike said like, does it hurt? And I like was upset. Obviously I was crying, and I was like, Not really. I'm just sad because
Yeah.
like I know that like having like Kelsey as my teammate, having seen her go through knee injuries, I know that's not enough time, like 100%. But I was lucky that I had people in my corner who were willing to innovate.
Right.
But yeah, like October, November, December, January, February, it's like that's not enough time. And having known that pushing it is at 6 months, and I'm like, there's no way.
Right.
So I was obviously sad because I thought that was it.
Well, when I heard that you were coming back, I was like, oh, that's impressive, right? You don't heal from knee injuries like that. Just the fact that you're there, I thought was amazing. And then I saw some of your runs, and I was like, oh my God, she's gonna win. That's what I said. I'm like, what a story this is gonna be, because you were fast. But as you said, we were just talking about before this happens, like you're not 100% in control of what happens on those courses, right? You can get edged out. Someone can eat shit, or they can take out a tail, like one of your tails, or you can land on somebody.
Yeah,
or
sometimes it's just not your day, unfortunately. Like I've been on both sides of it where like someone will just like explode in front of me and I'm like, okay. Thank you, but like you just have to kind of roll with the punches.
What's the best way to avoid that?
Get out in front.
Get out in front? Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I've really worked a lot, especially with the knee injuries, like on my upper body and like explosive strength, because I think that's like if I can get out in front, like if you saw any of the races this year, like I was hammering at the beginning just so I could like get going and then just hopefully take it all the way to the finish line. But like some courses it's not that easy, especially like our starts. Some of them have been so technical and you have to like get every single backside or else you've lost all your speed. So it's
What do you mean get every backside? Like be able to hit the transition and then pump through it?
Yeah, so
no knuckles, just straight to like flow.
Sometimes you just have to be super, well, you want to be super flowy all the time. But yeah, some of our starts, like the Beijing one, I wasn't able to go to the test event because I was returning from the ACL again, unfortunately. And that start section, I just could not figure it out. Like it was so hard every time. I'm like, oh, well, that wasn't good. So like
so you're like, all right, I got to pick it up in the middle then.
Well, in that case, yes. But like, I generally want to be fast out of the gate and then really.
So you mentioned that you guys built like a mock-up, or I guess like a replica start gate,
or what we thought.
Okay, so would be like. That's the question too, because they do a lot of the events. Like you said, a test event is held at that venue the year before the Olympics, right? Kind of as a test event.
Yeah.
But it still counts as like a World Cup.
Yeah, it's a World Cup.
And then.
Or a World Championships in some cases.
Right. And then is the course or like the start altered for the next year? Or is
usually, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like the same.
Like I was at the test event for Korea and it was totally different.
Right.
And the course was generally pretty similar, but they had added features along the way. So it's just similar layout, but different.
Right. Now, is there like on a course, is there like a certain amount of booters? There's a certain amount of whoops, like, or is it just, is there like,
I think
is there
it's
like
length, width, and like vertical drop. I don't know the numbers. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. But then they can do whatever they want within those parameters.
It, yeah. There might be like technical numbers that they have to meet for each course, but I'm not sure. You'd have to look at the
what's
rule
your
book.
What's your like kind of preference in a course that has more rollers, more turns, more big airs? Because like I remember the 2010 Olympics, I watched the men's final because I was there
too, or at the like at Cyprus.
Yeah. So I went up there. Funny story. I think I've told this before, but I ended up breaking my ankle skiing with Ashley, like in November.
Yeah.
And she called patrol for me. I was like, hey, this is Ashley McIver. We need patrol. And apparently they were like, no, not you. And she's like, no, not me. They're like, okay, great. So I broke my ankle. That was my like
claim to fame.
No, my contribution to our country is like, I will go there first and break my leg. Cause I kind of went into a zone and fell into a ravine and she was right behind me. I kind of cut her off.
Okay. Well, that was good.
So I like say that's my claim to fame is I injured
saved Canada's
chances.
ski cross hopes.
what was I just talking about? The courses.
Yeah.
So like, do you have like are you like a specialist in any one thing? Oh, I remember what it was, because I remember the Ann Booter. I remember watching Chris launch off
Yeah.
that thing, like, and just kind of get lost, and he just went up higher and higher and higher, and wasn't landing on his feet. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's one of the biggest airs I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
So like they can vary. Like, are you more comfortable with those big airs, or more into turns, or more whoops? Like, are you like a specialist at something?
I think we can't really be specialists at certain things. But I'm definitely better when there's like more time between features and you have to, like, say, press a jump. I've got really good mobility. So if I can like take the air off, I'm good at that. Or
like absorb it rather than
absorb it rather than really jump. Like if you have to pop, you have to pop. But most of the time it's taking the flight and going low.
So is it better to like just absorb stuff rather than to launch stuff?
It depends. Like, say, for example, in Beijing, I singled, so stayed on the ground, and that's where I made my pass.
Right.
Because I gained speed from doing that. But
someone was in the air and you were like, zoom.
Yeah, exactly. So it depends. Like, I'm better at that because I have long legs and I know how to use them.
Yeah.
Whereas like some people would be better jumping because they might not have the same mobility. So it's really using your strengths to be better for yourself. Like,
yeah, right.
Yeah, it's hard to say, like, but that we had a little bit of a trend. I don't know if I guess it was post Pyeongchang Olympics, so 2018, where our courses got smaller, in the name of safety, which is great, but the safety didn't really change. Like the people were still getting injured, and so I think they realized that it's not necessarily the size, but how things are built.
Right.
So
like too fast, or the corners
like
are too tight,
if you get going too fast because the features are small, that's honestly probably worse than if you're going over a nice big jump and have a nice landing and like the more time on the ground, really, right? So it's kind of a catch-22. Like, it's a great idea in theory, but then when we're going way too fast, it doesn't work.
You're like, get out of my way.
Yeah, it's still a work in progress because it's still such a young sport.
Right. Because it's been so 2010 was the first Olympics. So we're about to go into, I guess, the 5th Olympic Games for skier cross. So it's only 24, 25 years old.
Yeah, and in like sport life, that's super young. And
Yeah.
so I think they're still working out the kinks, really.
Still.
I think so.
Learning every year and adjusting every year.
Yeah, and we the athletes have to be giving feedback along the way. And it's one of my teammates recently retired last year, and he was kind of our athlete rep, and I took over that position. So I've been like at the table for some of those conversations that are behind the scenes where we're talking,
like dealing with FIS and everything.
Like kind of the FIS race director and course, I forget what his title is, delegate, I guess, would be there, and they like listen to our feedback, and it's really interesting to hear, because a lot of the times every different nation wants something else, right? So it's a difficult position to be in, and I don't like it. No, I like advocating for our sport and for Canada, but it's a difficult job for FIS to take everything.
Because you've got all these different people that all want something that's gonna possibly
help their team.
You know what I mean, right? Interesting. And it's funny. So like, we've known each other for a while, like, and you're fairly reserved, like, as a person, you know what I mean? There's a quote I read somewhere. What is it? Ski fast, live slow.
I think that is kind of comes from my parents.
Yeah.
Like I think my mom might be a ski fast, live slow, or sail fast, live slow, because my mom kind of grew up sailing with my uncle, and it's kind of just the chill vibes. Like, put your intention into like certain things, but then
right, save it.
Yeah,
You're saving it because, like I said, like we've known each other for a long time, but it was a long time before I was like, oh, I actually had conversations. It was kind of a slow burn, just because you're just so reserved and just quiet. And you're not.
I
Like,
I get it, but a lot of the time it's like people think I'm intimidating because I'm quiet if I don't know you.
Oh, interesting.
Like usually, like
I wasn't intimidated.
no, not.
But
like,
I can see that. That's a
yeah.
good thing to have, though, especially in a
yeah,
sport like
but then
yours.
if you know me, you like
Yeah,
know
no,
I'm
exactly.
approachable and
100%.
it's chill. But it's I think I don't know if it's something for me to work on. I definitely need to be more approachable.
I don't
probably.
think that's a you thing. I think that's an everybody else thing. I don't think you need to work on that because it wasn't like I was afraid to go chat with you. It was just more of like I didn't have a reason before other than like ball, but we'd always play against each other.
Yeah, it's hard. You're the
Right.
competition.
Yeah, no, exactly, right? And then it was like, oh, she's just, so kind of calm and mellow, yet as soon as she puts skis on, she's a fucking animal, like an absolute beast, which is fun to watch. But so that's why I was always kind of wondering about like what you just said as you're in that kind of role. And I was also thinking about that years in the past about, okay, if I get her on the podcast, is she going to be like a conversationalist? Because sometimes I'll have people on the show where, that's just not their style, is to
Chat.
Yeah, exactly. They can have a conversation where they don't elaborate and I'll have to do a lot of work. Fortunately, I have a lot of practice. But then after just, chatting with you for a while, I was like, oh, this is going to be easy. Even earlier, like a month or two ago when I saw you on the street walking Pepper, your dog. And I was like, so what's going on? You're like, oh, I got a couple more races. I'm like, you want to do the podcast? And you're like, yeah, sure. But I'm leaving tomorrow. You're like 3 more. And I think I said like, you're leading the overall, right?
I was.
Yeah.
Not by much though.
Yeah. And I was like, all right, cool. Well, we come back and bring your crystal globe and we'll do it. And you're like, she laughed. I'm like, no, I'm serious. Like,
I didn't want you to jinx me.
No way. That would have made me feel awful. If you hadn't won and then mentioned it to me at a ball or something like that, I'd been like, oh no. If I was pitching you, I'd just toss you a big watermelon.
Yeah, no. I think like having gone through skiing, we're such a community, and I think people don't really realize that like no matter what kind of space in skiing you are, like free ride, racing, freestyle, whatever, like everyone really has a lot of care for each other.
Yeah.
There's not that many sports that are really like that.
No, and I love that you brought this up because this is actually a question I was going to ask you. This is perfect. So, as you know, I'm involved a lot with like free ride, like big like free ride world tour. We've got the Free Ride Guide podcast. I do announcing for the challengers. Like also, I'm fully involved in it. And one of the themes that we talk about a lot, specifically on that show and with the riders, is the sense of community and the sense of family is really, really almost unrivaled. And I know that Free Ride World Tour is FIS now, but nothing's really changed yet. All the riders are still just kind of dirtbag free riders doing their own thing, hanging out, traveling together. Whereas in more, I guess, established racing, including skier cross, it's a little bit different where, yes, you're on the road with all these people all the time, but there's still it's me versus you. It's my country versus your country. Do you find that it is just easy and the camaraderie is there and everybody's super cool, but then there's a switch that turns when it's time to get to race time? Or is there still like, hey, we're friends, but there's still that kind of imaginary barrier?
I think when we're on the course, we're racing, and I'll take into consideration who I'm racing with, because I know like how they ski or have certain tendencies. But basically for me, when I cross the finish line, it's like it's over.
Yeah.
And sometimes I had one moment this year where I got kind of mad because I got taken off the course, and in hindsight, yeah, it was my mistake, but I was mad for a while, and but I'm pretty good at getting over things. But yeah, generally like once the race is over, everyone's pretty good. And like since we're racing side by side and so close to each other, you really do care for each other. You're not going to purposefully take someone out, because then you're going to get taken out too. So you do care, like for each other's safety, and
Right,
you
right.
don't want someone to crash, because usually, like, if someone's crashing, other people are going to crash too. It's not great.
Right. So you do have to take care of them, but then that could be your rival, right? Say it comes down to the last run and you're next to this person who could potentially move into the top spot or vice versa. And that's when it's like, okay, we're not really friends right now. We're competitors. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like when you're on the
Yeah.
course, it's every
But it
man
doesn't
for
really
himself.
overlap much.
Not really,
No.
or at least personally. Like I've maybe that comes from experience,
Mm-hmm.
but when the race is over, we can be
Right.
friends.
And I'm sure it's like anything too. Like there's gonna be people that you are drawn to, and there's people that you avoid, or you're just not really connected with.
Yeah, like I know one of my friends who's on the Swiss team, she had a new teammate, or new to the World Cup, and she, like, I guess just from experience, she'd never met me, and so I didn't know her.
Right.
But I was talking to her friend, who is
Mm-hmm.
also my friend, and like I think she was intimidated because maybe you've seen me race all these years and you don't know what I'm like off the slope.
Right.
And
You have
like,
two
totally different.
You have two Olympic medals.
Yeah,
and
but
world
like
championships.
the vibe, like once we're off the hill, is like it's totally chill.
Yeah. You're out of beast. You've turned off the beast mode, and like you're
kind of, yeah. Like once the run's over, it's all over.
right. Is it the run or is it the event?
I would say probably the race, but sometimes it's the run, because we finish our run and then we have to go back up, and usually it's on a ski-doo, and generally we're with somebody. So sometimes you're going back up with the person you're going to race against.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's like,
And are you chatting with them about, well, what were you doing when you went on the
if
corner?
it's my teammate, sometimes.
Yeah.
Or like one time we had I forget who I was with, but we had a really fast ski-doo, and I was like holding on for dear life. And then we like laughed about it later, but
what,
yeah.
like, would you be talking about like the lap that just like the heat
Not
that you were
really.
just in?
No.
Like if somebody did
Like,
something,
if
that
someone
you were like,
did
what are you
something-
doing? Like, what was that? What were you doing there? Like, would you call someone out?
Not really. Maybe at the bottom.
Yeah.
Like when we're waiting to see the official results come out.
And then that's like your style though. Are there other athletes on the tour where you're like, oh, this chick's gonna bitch about something, or like this person's gonna complain about something? Because there's every job.
But there's different personalities in every.
There's those people
thing.
everywhere, right?
Yeah. I don't think. Yeah, there's different types of people in every walk of life.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, I don't know. Like I only have my experience to draw off of.
Right.
But everyone's pretty good afterwards,
Yeah.
generally.
And are there like other girls on the tour where, say, you end up in a grand final and you're like, nice,
Big final, but
pardon me,
big final.
big
You can
final.
call it a grand final.
No,
That
big
sounds
final.
more fun.
No,
Maybe.
I'd rather call it what it's supposed to be, the big final.
Yeah.
Right. There's a small final, which is for
Fifth to
eighth, right? And actually, let me ask you this: is it better to win?
Oh, I was talking about this.
Is it better to win the small
other day.
final than it is to come in than to lose the big final?
I was talking about this with someone the other day, and I said yes.
Because you still win.
You still win. Like
Is it better to come in fifth than third?
No. I think personally, I would rather be on the podium or fifth than fourth.
Right.
Fourth is just the worst, because you're have a 75% chance of being on the podium, and you're not. Whereas in fifth, you actually like have a sense of accomplishment. You're like, I won that.
I just won something. That's why like third is usually better than second. Like in
some cases.
Sorry, in hockey or baseball, like
because you
team
lost.
sports, one-on-one sports. Yeah. Because you still get to win.
Yeah, I was talking about that with someone, and I didn't really have that perspective, maybe because I'm in an individual sport, and like when you get second in ski cross, you did everything you could. It's not like in a hockey game or anything else where you lose. Like it's like second, it's not winning, but it's still like you did everything you could, and that's all you can do.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So that's a good. I'm glad you answered that. Fifth is better than fourth.
Personally, some people don't agree with me. I remember I was talking about it with someone, and they wanted to be in that final no matter what. And personally, I've been first and second a lot of times. I haven't been third that many times, and I haven't been fourth that many times, but I've been fifth a lot of times as well.
Yeah,
So
right.
like if I don't make the big final, I'm not usually, but a lot of the times I've been fifth because I've been so mad that I didn't make it in the big final that I like go in a full rage to to get fifth. But
who's your biggest competitor this season? Who was your biggest competitor
this season?
Yeah.
Coincidentally, another girl named Marielle, but she's French, so it's Marielle.
Yeah.
This year we had injuries in the top athletes, a few.
Yeah.
So in the past, like Sandra Naslund, she won
Sweden, right?
Sweden. She won I don't know how many, so many races. Like she won all of them one year. Like we just couldn't catch up.
Right.
And she's the one who won the Beijing Olympics, and then she had an injury this year, so she only was there a little while. But yeah, Marielle and I were like head to head the whole season.
So let me ask you this too, in just like, thinking of sport, is obviously you want to win. Now, when you hear of that, of like her getting injured and going down, obviously you're like, oh, that's a bummer for her. And is there a secret part of you that are like, okay, this is good, like I've just lost a lot of competition? Or are you the kind of person that's like, damn it, I want to race against the best? I
want to race the best. Like Sandra and I have a really like great competitive relationship, but then off the hill too, like we can be friends. Like when she hurt herself, I like went up to her and I was like, do you want a hug? Because she just looked so sad sitting by herself, and she was like, yeah, please, can I? And like you really feel for your competitors, because I know I've been there, and it's not fun, and you can just see the kind of outlook of a lot of time and a lot of hard work.
And you're like, oh no, you've got at least 4 months ahead of you.
Probably
I
don't know.
6.
I don't think about like I didn't really think about the time, but more just like all the work, and you put so much work to get to be the top in your sport and racing, and then you see it all go kind of down the drain fast. It's not fun.
No, and it's neat to me that you can talk to athletes that have had like 3 or 4 or 5 knee surgeries, and you're like, wait a minute, that's like 5-6 years of recovery, but you've still managed to have all like it's the longevity of a lot of careers is astonishing to me, for people that have gone through so many kind of reconstructions and surgeries and that sort of thing, because you kind of glaze over and forget that happens, in a career like yours, which is already spanning, I guess, 12 years at this point, filled with accomplishments, right? A gold medal, a silver medal, the Olympics, an X Games medal,
silver, yeah.
An X Games did they still do ski across in the X Games?
No, not anymore. I forget what year we stopped,
that's
but
a bummer. It would be
yeah.
cool. I bet you they'd have like water features you'd have to go
those
over.
Courses were so fun.
Yeah.
Like the X Games courses were so long, and I actually credit me crashing at X Games to kind of giving me the kick I needed in the butt to be better on World Cup, because I went, like I said, I got mad that I crashed. I was winning X Games. The first time I actually got to compete, I was winning in the big final, and there it was 6 people. So
oh wow,
I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna win X Games in my head, and then I fell down, and then
but were you leading?
Yeah,
and you just caught an edge or something?
I just like fell over. It was dumb.
We won't.
But
I won't dig any deeper.
It's okay. No, that moment was what I needed, and then the next race, World Cup, was in Canada, and I won my first World Cup.
Really?
Yeah, like I'd had podiums before that, like a couple maybe, but then I was like, that was not embarrassing, but it wasn't great. You see someone else winning when you could have. You had it.
Blew it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But that's like, I guess that's how people improve, right? You got to fail in order to.
Yeah, 100%.
And better there. Do you like miss that there's no X Games that does? Because I remember they did X Games sit skiers too.
Oh yeah, those guys are.
Yeah, Sam.
Wild.
Yeah, Sam.
Yeah, Sam. I remember. Actually, I think that was the year I crashed.
Right.
They were after us in training, and Sam was like, "How does it run?" I'm like, "Good." I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know what you need, but
yeah, right.
they're like, those dudes are brave.
Sam was on the show. I think that was my first season, actually, 2013 that he won that. He was on like one of the first 10 or 12 episodes, I think.
Yeah, I think I was there at the bottom. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, it was like them sending off that last jump is wild.
Have you seen what a lot of those like Trevor Kinnison and like Jay Raw have been doing on the sit skis lately?
Not really.
Just in like the free ride world, it's been wild. Trevor's movie came out.
I maybe saw. Where's he from?
He's from Colorado.
I think I maybe saw a clip, and it was.
He did a film with
awesome.
with Level 1, and like he ended up breaking his back and then going back to that spot and ended up doing like a double backflip. And
Okay, yeah,
it's
I
like
definitely saw
it's
that.
a full film. I think they just got nominated for an Oscar, to be honest.
Wow.
Really, really neat. And he's just a great dude. And then Jay Raw, who's been kind of quietly, I guess, a little bit overshadowed by Trevor, but now he's starting to come into his own. He was just at the Nines. The
Audi
Swatch
Nines.
now, yeah.
Yeah.
So he was just at the Nines, like launching. He did a 4-run for the Freeride World Tour event in Golden, and then
I definitely saw that.
And then in Kirkwood, for the Challenger event, which is kind of like the relegation round. So everybody that's on the FWT gets dropped to the Challengers. Everyone who wins the qualifiers gets moved up to the Challengers. It's kind of like a playoff to find out who goes next year.
Yeah.
They let him run like during the competition in that event as well. It was awesome.
Wow, that's cool.
He's just absolutely slaying. So it's so cool to see.
We went actually on a trip to Mike Wigley's heli skiing, and one of the sit skiers on the Alpine team came, Kurt, and he was awesome. I don't know how many skis he broke because his rig was just not the
dialed
free
in
ride.
for pow,
Not dialed in for the powder, but
just
like,
too rigid, I guess. Not enough give.
Yeah, or maybe the skis just had too much give. I'm not sure, but he was fine. But he was sending it and so good and like so adaptable to like tight trees, and it was awesome to see.
So when he'd like break a ski, did someone just have one and then just like
I think it was like maybe just like cracking or something. It was fine, and then he figured out for the next day.
Is it like?
I think actually what they did is they drilled through the bottom so that it wouldn't.
Oh really?
The binding wouldn't come off.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I should know this, but thinking about it now, I don't really know how the ski attaches to the.
I think it's like a normal binding.
It is like a binding. You just snap it in.
I'm pretty sure, but they have it like cranked up to
right.
as high as possible.
That's cool. So you mentioned like Wiggly. So yeah. So back to what I was saying about that point is, it's cool that you've gotten this far, and it seems like you've been doing this forever.
Yeah.
But it's still a fairly young sport, and you're still quite young as well. Like you're only like just 30, I think.
31.
And from what I remember in the past, if someone was saying that, I don't know if I saw this on like a CBC broadcast or something like that, is like this is kind of when athletes in ski cross kind of come into their own. Is
Maybe.
Like usually like their early mid-30s is when they're bigger, stronger, a little wiser. So do you feel like you're still obviously you won, so you're at the top of the heap, top of your game, but do you still feel like you've got a bunch of years still to go? Like do you think that next year you can continue this high level? Like do you see like what's your vision for the next few years? Is it to stay what you're doing, keep what you're doing?
Yeah, I have kind of had that philosophy from when I was like 18 when I made the World Cup team, was like just do what I can to be better, and like from experience I've only gotten better. Like even like with the injuries, they've made me like way stronger because that's what I could do.
Right.
And then with each experience, like racing, you can only learn from, or I guess some people might not learn from it, but like for me, like every kind of have not like a goldfish, but like I finish the race, and learn from it,
right? Get
over it, on to the next thing, because we have so many races too.
Yeah, how many is there in a year?
I think there's you have to fact check, but it was like
30?
No, that would be way too many.
Okay.
Maybe like 17.
That's a lot.
It was a lot.
And you do like two or three in a weekend sometimes, don't you?
Usually 2.
At the same
Generally.
course?
Yeah, if we're doing 2, that's the most we'll do at a venue usually. But it's a lot. Like we'll do usually, if the weather's great, 2 days of training, which is usually maybe 2 runs one day and 1 the next, or something like that. And then the next day we'll do qualifying, which if it's a double race, we'll do 2 qualifying races.
Yeah.
In one day, and then
one for the first one and then one for the
next
second
one.
So you don't go qualifying race, then qualifying race?
No, I think just timing wise that takes too long because particularly with the men, there's a lot of them and they're racing for 32 spots. So timing wise, it's easier to do 2 qualifiers in one day. And then we'll do race. And so that's at least 3 runs of racing if you're in the final, and then a training run. So it's quite a lot of volume over the weekend. Like when you're say if it's Sunday and you've finished the big final or whatever, you've done a lot of runs and you're tired and you need to kind of recuperate and move on to the next one usually, which is in a couple days time.
Right. Because you guys are on the road usually for like couple weeks at a time, right?
This year we were there in Europe for basically mid-November till Christmas, and then the next race was in Canada, and that was mid-January, and then from then I think I got back about a month later. So it's like they're long trips when
you're good at
I'm
living
gone.
out of a suitcase.
Yeah.
Any travel hacks for someone that's living on the road, like just to stay organized and just to stay like...
For me, I don't unpack.
No.
And it kind of appalled someone. They're like, what do you mean you don't unpack? I'm like, well, that's when you leave stuff behind.
Do you just like root through your bags, or do you have?
I have like those travel cubes.
Yeah, so those are handy.
Yeah, those are handy. And then for like adapters, I've got one of those blocks that has multiple USBs.
Do you bring like a power bar?
No, I find with my like multiple USBs, I'm okay.
Yeah.
And then I bring like kind of one of those travel pillows, not like the neck ones. I don't like those.
Yeah.
But just a normal kind of small Posturepedic style travel pillow, just because sometimes the European pillows aren't really
They're terrible.
Our jam
They're
for
awful.
North Americans.
They're so thin. Like they give you like one, and it's like the smallest, thinnest, crappiest pillow ever. Like you try to find a second one, and it's not any better.
Yeah.
It's almost as if it's like a blanket that's in a pillowcase.
100% like a little duvet. And then for flying, I have this like blow up thing that's kind of obnoxious, but I sleep much better leaning forward.
Yeah.
And so it's like a triangle that you can put your head in, like a massage.
So like you just sit it on your lap and you just put your
and you
face,
lean forward.
and it's just like a water wing kind of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of
For real?
Yeah. And it's kind of ridiculous, but I sleep on planes and other people don't, so.
What do you do when you travel? What, like you said, you sleep sometimes on planes, but you guys do so much traveling. Is it more buses? Is it more? Do you rent
it's like
vehicles?
vans.
Do you like rent a van and then drive it around for like the month and a half and then?
Yeah, our team will have multiple vans because we've got a lot of people. Like usually at the most probably about 12 athletes, and then similar amount of staff. So
it's a lot of logistics.
Yeah, it's a lot of moving parts. Our my like head coach, he is awesome at organizing. I know I would have trouble with.
And does he do that, or does he have
parts.
someone that does it and then just relays to him?
It's a combo. They're really a team when they
Right.
organize everything, but it's like a lot of moving parts. People coming from different parts of Canada, or even something like one of my teammates lives in the U.S. And yeah, it's a lot.
So what about like meals and snacks and stuff like that? Do you always have stuff in your bag or backups?
I bring a lot of snacks and food. Like those fruit source bars, Cliff bars, big protein powder bags, granola bars, candy.
Yeah.
Like everything.
Just to have.
Like and say in my race pack I would have like a big stash of food ready.
Right.
Like Gatorade powder.
And then
then
everything shipped in like big like Team Canada like crates. kind of thing?
When we're flying, no, we just are flying with our like normal bags. So I'll have like a duffel bag, my ski boot bag, and skis.
Ski boots in the cabin?
Yeah, 100% in
Right,
the cabin,
yes,
in the
yes.
rolly bag, because that's the only thing that you can't really replace.
That's what you got. Yeah, exactly. You got to have your boots on the plane, in the cabin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like...
I wear a knee brace when I'm skiing, so I have my knee brace like wrapped around my ski boots in my bag so that I have that too.
So is a knee brace more of like a mental comfort thing? Because I've heard,
yes and no.
So that's why I know Mike. So
Yeah.
Mike actually was on the show here as well. Because I blew my knee out in, I don't know, 2016, and I had him on here.
Yeah.
I did like a kneehab episode where he and
I'm just gonna move my legs.
yeah. So he came on with, I think, Bianca, I believe, came on the show, and because I was like, well, what do people need to know about rehabbing a knee and all this sort of thing? And I think it was him that told me, like, you don't really need a knee brace.
Yeah, I like it because when, say, you're overshooting a jump or casing a jump, that sort of thing, you're hitting hard.
Mm-hmm.
And it just has given me a little more peace of mind.
Right.
And I have never, like, some people really find them irritating.
Yeah, bothering, yeah.
And mine, it doesn't limit my range of motion, and it just gives me that little bit of kind of backup. So it makes me feel a bit better. But yeah, maybe I don't need it anymore. But kind of been toying with the idea of not wearing it, but
until you get rid of it, and
then something happens. Yeah, exactly.
Are you superstitious?
Not really. Like
a little, but
maybe a little bit. Yeah. Like, but if I say, like, I usually when I'm entering the start gate, I do the same thing every single time. Yeah. But say if I don't, like, I say, like, putting your skis on left versus right, I definitely don't do that. I don't even know which one I put on. It's whatever.
Oh, really?
Like my ski tech will be there, and he like scrapes my boots, and whichever one first, it doesn't matter.
Right. And like, there's a left ski and a right ski, obviously.
Yeah. But like that sort of thing doesn't bother me, because I've found that as soon as you get into like that like stuck routine and not being a bit flexible, that's when you get, like, you're maybe thrown off if you don't get to do your little
right. You don't touch your exactly. You touch your nose 3 times and do
or whatever, something like that.
Have you ever considered those new like tights with the wires in them?
I tried those. I just kind of liked my knee brace better.
Big clunky brace, yeah.
It's not that clunky because it's like made for me, but
oh, right. Well, like it is, use what works, right? Like if that's what works.
Like those tights were comfy for sure.
Look at this thing right here.
Yeah,
Crystal. It's not making any noise, but do what you got to do, right?
Yeah, like it's all just preference. I know it's some people have used those tights, or there's another brand that makes something similar, and it's just whatever works personally.
Yeah. Right on. So you mentioned Wigglies. Mm-hmm. That and we were chatting about skiing before, and one of the things that I've learned from a lot of people that say are like on the mogul tour or racing tours is they don't really ever get a chance to, and this is from them telling me is they'll go to a place, they're in, they race, they eat, they sleep, they leave.
Yeah.
You don't really get to spend much time exploring or like even experiencing this zone that you're in, right? Like you stay on that one lap in that one spot, and this is the course, and it could be 50 centimeters over there, but you don't have time, right? Do you like make a point of trying to, like, because you said the other day you're up on flute on one of your breaks just happened to be good, and you were like, oh my god, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, is it something that you try to seek out, or like when you're racing and it's like, say, a big POW day somewhere, or like they have to do a lot of work on the course because there's a bit too much snow on the course, so you kind of looking over your shoulder going like, well, maybe we could go for a lap?
I don't, just because I don't have powder skis with me.
Yeah.
But even you kind of have to be focused on the task at hand.
It isn't calling out. Like
it is sometimes. It's called like my heart. It might be calling to my heart, but right. We just don't have time.
No.
And like to expend more energy on that, like when the task at hand is racing, it's like it's hard, but it is what it is, unfortunately.
No, that's good though, because there's 2 different points of view, right? Because if
I have teammates who will go and ski POW, but I'm just
not for you.
I just have my priorities, and like I don't really have FOMO because it's like I'm there to race.
It's not your priority. Exactly. Like
if I was there to ski powder, it'd be another story.
Because that's the thing too, is if it was really that big of a call, you may not be in that position racing all the time. Maybe you go and shred and pow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I always ask those people, I'm like, because we've had free like mogul skiers going into free ride, anything like that, and then not so much racers, but I think the racers would do extremely well,
especially in the turns. I think like they would just be so solid. Like I think the where they would struggle maybe if you're not used to going in the air was like drops and that sort of thing, and doing tricks. Like some of those guys and girls are doing like crazy stuff off of cliffs, and I'm like, yeah, no way. I could like ski down in the powder, but that's it.
Yeah, you'd be like there's a couple different styles in freeride where now it's becoming a little bit more freestyle-y. There are a lot of freestyle elements are coming in.
Okay.
Whereas in the last 10 years, a lot of like the point it straight and fast off the biggest thing you can find. And then
that's what Stan was doing at Golden.
Yeah, Stan did really, really well.
Yeah, we were watching live on the stream because we were in Europe
until he landed in that garbage snow and his skis just popped off. So he told us he'd never done like an actual like free ride run like that, like a competition.
He was going so fast.
He was going so fast, and his line was fun and unique. And if his skis hadn't just blown off his feet and tomahawked, although we probably, I was asking the judges and I was talking, he probably would have ended up maybe around 4th or 5th.
You think? Yeah, we didn't know.
Yeah, out of like 20 dudes, 20 plus. Like it was a great run. But I think he probably got more out of it from an exposure point of view.
Oh yeah.
From doing that super mega tomahawk.
Got a lot of views, I bet, on Instagram.
The super mega tomahawk out the bottom. But that was fun to see. But yeah, like I always think about that because you guys, like, you're technically so in tune with where you are on your skis at every component of the turn, specifically in free ride when you actually have to do that, but then also be aware of who's around you and then adjust to having that person like right on top of you. So,
probably conditions as well.
Yeah.
Because
icy.
Like icy, I wouldn't generally want icy. But sometimes
are the courses are the ski across courses not fairly hard and like
hard, but not generally that icy.
They don't spray them down like
some places they do, but not always.
Right.
Like if there's, say in Alberta where we had our first race of 2024, it was just nice hard snow. But it depends. Like if they've set a feature, like say a negative turn,
which is what?
Which is like, so if you think of a bank turn as being, that's what Europeans would call a positive turn. You're basically going around the outside. Like, so we used to call them basketball turns. But I don't know, the European influence took the name.
Yeah.
Like those turns get really rough, so they will usually ice them up.
Right.
But it really just depends.
Rutted and stuff.
Yeah, rutted because a million people are running basically the same line over and over and over.
Right.
But yeah, it really just depends. But not like the downhillers. Those courses are really icy.
They're like ice.
Yeah, ice.
Like it's ice skates ice. Like it's
I
crazy.
remember when it was my first year on the World Cup, and we had a race like a valley over from Kitzbühel, and we went and skied the Hahnenkamm, and they were just preparing it. It wasn't ready to be raced on yet.
Yeah.
It was like a few weeks out at least, and I like tried to ski on my race skis. And I like slid halfway down. I didn't fall, but I like slid halfway down the pitch because my skis just weren't sharp enough for ice.
Just power sliding.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Are you more of like a specialist in any specific type of like snow, like whether it's harder or if it's softer or if there's a little bit of snow falling, or they're like, because like I think of like F1 or racing, like some drivers are really good in the wet conditions and some are really good in other conditions.
I think coming from Whistler, I am very adaptable compared to other people. Like snow coming down doesn't really bother me. Fog doesn't bother me. Rain doesn't bother me. I think I'm probably better than other people at skiing when it's snowy.
Right.
Because I like know how to like have maybe a little bit of a wider stance.
Right.
Be solid and balanced, and yeah, but like everyone has to adjust. There's nothing you can really do. That was one of the things I really learned early from doing one of the kind of Olympic preparation. It's like a camp almost.
Yeah.
Was the not worrying about what you can't control.
Right.
Because like you can't do anything about it, so why bother like letting it take up space in your mind?
Right. Do they still do a lot of like, I guess, mental preparation and mental coaching? Like I'm sure you've done it over the years, and I'm sure there's courses and stuff every year, and like training camps and stuff. Like, is that a big part of like the preseason routine? Is mindset coaching?
We have a team sports psych, and he does kind of general things like that, yes, in the preseason. And then for those that need it, one-on-one. And I've found that like just personally, I don't necessarily need someone all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I did require it, I would go and
Have a chat.
But like I'm a lot better with the more informal
Right.
kind of thing, like just literally chatting and kind of like taking a load off, not really
Just
like
venting a little bit,
delving into everything, like all the complexities.
Yeah.
But that's just personal preference. I know everyone, especially in like racing, everyone has a totally different mindset and idea.
And every individual person is completely different too. So I'm sure there's people like you that he doesn't really need to talk to. He just needs to check in every once in a while.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure there's a lot of people that monopolize a lot of his time because they like to.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm one of those people that likes to like
work it through.
Yeah, and like dissect every minute detail and how does this work with this and the blah blah blah. So
Yeah, that sounds exhausting.
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What about like media training and stuff like that? Do you have to do that as well?
Yes, but not like it's usually in the lead up into like Olympics type thing.
Don't swear in the finish corral when you guys are all on camera and like stuff like that.
Most things you are pretty like no brainers, common sense. But it's like kind of how one of the things was like don't say. I think it was for like social media more than anything, but it was don't like post something you would be embarrassed that your grandma would see.
Right.
Or something. That was one thing that I remember someone told us a long time ago. I'm like, that's good. Like, and pretty fair, because usually you take a lot of pride and you wouldn't want your grandma to be embarrassed of you.
Right. Or like all of a sudden you're on CBC News, be like, Marielle Thompson tweets blah blah blah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to do that.
No, I can't see you doing that either. He's like I said, you seem very like not like I said, introverted, maybe a better word.
Yeah,
maybe,
I think in the personality test, I'm an introverted extrovert because I like to be in the action, like socially,
right,
when I want to.
yeah, exactly. You choose it when the timing is right. Like you don't seek it out, but you'll participate because this is sweet. Yeah,
exactly.
So we're just about, I think, ready to wrap it up. But I gotta ask you. So we play softball together against each other. And I had to ask you this too. So we have probably the nicest ball diamonds I think ever.
Yes.
I've talked to people that used to play here. I talked to someone the other day. He used to play here, and he's in Ontario. He's like, those ball diamonds are unreal. And then in Hack, Steve Hackenberg, he said he was trying to do some work or something with you at some point. And he's from New York, and he's like, these are like the greatest, most beautiful ball diamonds. I didn't know
that they were that amazing, but it's good to know.
Because we're spoiled.
We're totally
so spoiled. Like where we play softball is literally like 2 blocks away from where we live. And they are the grass like the quality of the groundskeeping is next level. I've never seen anything like it. And there's these 3 beautiful diamonds, and there's a little field house, and you're basically looking up at Whistler and Blackcomb, and there are these massive, beautiful trees, and then the sun sets, and all the clouds are pink, and it's
pretty epic, isn't it?
It's pretty amazing. But all of those fields are fenced in, and someone was telling me that you were the only female or the only woman in softball, Whistler softball, to have to hit one over the fence. Is that true?
I did that in a game.
In a game?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Was that before they added the different balls?
Yeah.
Okay. Now so in our league, you have there's a big ball for the men and there's a smaller ball for...
Yeah, it was a big ball.
Yeah. Do you still hit the big ball?
No. I like the small ball does go far.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's different because it's smaller, so you really have to hit it well.
Right.
But I figure I take the advantage that because that's the idea behind it, is that women can hit it far.
Yeah.
But yeah, I forget what year.
But it did happen.
It did happen.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I want to see it again.
On number 3.
Field, yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
The closest one to the parking lot.
Yeah. That is awesome. Did the whole team just go insane?
Yeah, pretty much. Everyone went insane because I think even whoever we were playing, it was Alex who was the pitcher.
Miyazaki?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's even better. I didn't know that.
Yeah. One of his claims to fame.
Oh, that's I see, and I want to watch that. So I usually pitch a lot of times against you guys.
Mm-hmm.
I've struck you out, which makes me feel really good.
Yeah.
Because every time you get up, I get nervous because I know what you're capable of.
It was one time, everybody. One time.
That's all you need is one. That's all you need, and you're already in the lore of Whistler Slow Pitch League. Because this is a big league too. I'd like to see it happen again.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah. What do you think you need to do in order to put it out?
I don't know. Practice.
Well, you're strong, right? You come off of a full season of ski cross racing, and is that in the off season? Playing ball and just what else do you do? You just relax? Do you train a lot still through the summer?
That's kind of when all the training happens.
Really,
is in the summer. Once you're on the World Cup tour and you're skiing, it's really just maintenance and trying to keep all that strength and power that you developed over summer. Mm-hmm. So yeah, basically end of May, I'll probably kind of get back into real training.
So you'll take 6 weeks off.
I haven't even measured how long it's been. I guess it's been 3 weeks so far. And I've just been kind of relaxing, doing a bit of running with the dog and just taking it easy. But yeah, I'll do probably 3 or 4 days in the gym a week, and then otherwise out on the field we'll do jumping and running and sprinting and that sort of thing, right? And then some mountain biking too. But
one of the legacies of the 2010 Olympics here in Whistler, Vancouver, is they've got that beautiful Olympic Center down in Cheakamus, yeah, which has got to be really helpful. Oh yeah, it's great there. We have the CSI Pacific who runs that space, and it's pretty world class. I was really lucky that kind of on my rise through high performance sport, I had that, because I think it was perfect timing. Basically, when I made the World Cup national team was when that all kind of opened after the games. So I'm kind of a product of it. You don't have to move to Vancouver or to Squamish or to Calgary or anywhere that has these facilities. Yeah. It's oh great, it's literally 9-minute drive or 10-minute drive. I think it's kind of serendipitous that I've benefited a lot just timing wise. Right. So now that Vail has taken over Whistler over the past few years, do you there used to be the training course here? Did you train here a lot? And then we didn't really ever train on snow, on a course here, just because it's... Has that changed anything, this mountain, since the new ownership with regards to what you do? Not really. No. I still have my lifetime seasons pass. Okay, that's another thing. Okay, thank you for reminding me. Yeah. So I remember when the following season, mm-hmm. After in 2011, after Ashley won her gold, I was in line at the Wizard Chair that opening day. It was right near the front, and she was there with a big giant Did she get first chair? Probably, but
Because I got first gondola when I
because there was they had a big giant pass with their name on it. It was like you got a big giant one too, so you have a lifetime pass for Whistler Blackcomb, and they didn't take it away when Vale took over, did any shenanigans.
No, it's
fantastic. And then do you get like buddy passes and stuff, or is it just
just for me? And
then is it like, do you have to like re-register it every year?
I do nothing, honestly. Like I have to sign my waiver and that's it. I can just show up. It's awesome.
That is amazing. Is that the greatest legacy of winning the Olympics? Is a free pass for life?
Yeah, I didn't even really know that was a thing until they called me up and said, we're going to give it to you.
That's amazing. Well, now you got to really start free skiing and skiing some power.
I know. I've skied the most I probably have in a long time this year. At like 11 or 12 days, which sounds weak, but I've only been home for probably...
That's still pretty decent.
Maybe.
And it wasn't even a
3 or 4 weeks.
It wasn't even a good year either.
Yeah. But all the skiing I've done has been awesome. Like I haven't had a bad day.
Do you ever get like...
Personally this winter.
Do you ever get concerned about, well, I don't want to hurt myself free skiing?
No, because the best way to train is to actually do the sport.
Yeah.
And like free skiing and skiing POW is like the most fun you can probably have.
I want to go skiing with you next winter. I'd be like, it's Nuke and come meet me at base 2.
Yeah, why not?
Right? Well, thanks for coming. Like I could easily ask you a lot more questions, but I think I want to take some photos with this crystal globe.
Let's do it.
And you brought your Olympic medals.
Yes, I did.
So I think we're going to put those on Cedar and take some photos for everybody.
She has to wake up though.
Yeah.
Cedar. Oh, she's snoozing.
Well, thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
Another question, quick, actually, before we go. Sponsors. So you obviously have your own individual sponsors, and then you have sponsors that sponsor the team. Who are they?
Like personally?
Yeah, both.
When I'm skiing on my helmet, I have CIBC on my helmet.
Bank sponsor, very nice. That's the difference between, say, like free riding and then like FIS. Like national affiliated riding is you get like banks and financial companies. Yeah,
I think it's kind of stemmed from alpine skiing. And then for like helmet and eyewear, I just this year switched to Oakley, which is sweet. And then
do you get paid from Oakley for that, or is it just like
I kind of was in a bit of a bind, so I switched mid-season, so it's all kind of new,
up in the air.
Yeah. And then I ski on Stokely, so Swiss skis, and they're one of the only skis that actually make a ski cross model.
Right.
So I was lucky that I've kind of been on those skis since I...
Who else does? Elan does?
Elan makes one. And then most people are skiing on a GS kind of type ski. Like men sometimes are skiing on a women's GS ski because it's a little bit shorter. And we don't have the exact same parameters as alpine skiing.
Right.
So like a man can ski on whatever length that they choose.
Right.
Whereas in alpine skiing, like if you're racing whatever discipline, you are on that exact length. And
right. And we didn't even mention this, that your brother is an alpine racer who's doing one of the, what is he, the first Canadian to podium in however many years?
Yeah, he what did he get? He got 3rd in Birds of Prey a few years ago, which was like, I was watching on live stream and I like tears burst from my eyes. I'm like, oh my God. And I think for them, like Broderick really, his like podium there was kind of the catalyst to the success they've been having on that team over these past few years, because you've got these guys like bursting onto the scene with Jack Crawford and then Cam Alexander. Like
it's always one thing
like it's like they needed someone to break through, and then now they have that kind of belief.
Yeah, that's always one thing that always confused me, is why Canadians aren't better in like downhill Super G, like classic ski racing. They're great free riders. They're great at skier cross. Probably like the most dominant team since with women's skier cross. Anyways,
no, our team I forget what it's like 8 out of the past 11 Nations Cups we've won.
Right.
As Canada.
The overall.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is pretty dominating.
Yeah.
And I think like I've benefited from that like from the beginning with Ashley and Chris and Julia and Davey and Danny and all of them, I was lucky to have them to chase.
Winning's contagious.
Kind of like
Yeah.
when you have like good people to look up to and to chase. That's the big thing, I think, is like having a carrot to chase.
Right.
And like for me, a lot of the time it was like in training camps, it'll be like the guys. I'm like, I want to catch them.
Right.
And that's like how I'm getting faster, I think.
That's cool. All right, continue with the sponsors.
Okay. Yeah, my skis are Stuckley, and then I have Lecky poles, and I think that's it for me personally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then there's the organizational sponsors that I guess
that like support the team.
Yeah, that are on the jackets and all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
Very cool. And then so like with regards to being able to afford to live, is the money you get from like Freestyle Canada and some of your sponsors, is that enough? Like, do you have to like, are you comfortable, or do you have to like look elsewhere, or it's a little bit from Ski Canada, a little bit from
so as we call it carded athlete for Canada, when you're on the national team, you basically get a stipend. I think it's technically every other month, but which is for living and training expenses. And like a place like Whistler's expensive. I think you can get by. Right. But it's definitely not easy. So that's especially in a sport with lots of expenses. I know that actually just went up. They raised it, so that's pretty exciting. But yeah, and that's sport's a difficult.
That's when you rely on some of those other sponsors to kind of fill in some of those gaps.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's also like if you're doing well, you're earning prize money too. So it's
right.
Yeah, so it's
what's say you win a big final. What's the prize? Is it different every event?
I think the base World Cup win is 13,500 Swiss francs, and then they'll
per event.
Yeah.
Oh, so you did well this year. Congrats.
Thanks.
And then you get like for the overall as well?
No. Not that I know of. Maybe I missed something.
Well, that's Swiss francs too.
Yeah, but then you're paying the tax of where you competed as well, right. Off the top. So you're not getting all of that, but
it's 13.
It's still like it's substantial.
13.5 in Swiss francs is almost 20K Canadian.
Is it? I don't know.
Yeah, it's wild. It's
Swiss francs are looking good right now.
It's really, really good because I was in Switzerland a couple times last year, and I remember I ended up buying a burger, and I was like, oh, that was this.
And then you look at your
and it was like
bill.
$60 for a hamburger
goodness.
and a beer. I'm like, oh, I can't afford to come here anymore.
Yeah, go to the grocery store.
That's really cool. Well, it's awesome. I'm glad that you came.
Yeah.
I've been chatting. So now
what are you gonna do? You won't have me in your back pocket.
No, it's all good. Now when I see you, I'll actually start talking to you about this stuff more, because I tend to save it.
Yeah.
I've said this many times, and I've had many people I've chatted with, and I've been saving things for the podcast. And then as soon as that's done, they're like, man, you never asked me about this stuff before. I'm like, I know, I was saving it.
Yeah.
But now I can be like, hey, how was that? Or this and that. I can be like, what about this? And,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I will do my best to not let you hit one out of the park.
Okay. I'm going to do my best to hit
We'll see.
Or maybe. Just be strategic. That's maybe my problem is I'm trying too hard to hit one out of the park when I should be smart and not do that.
Just a nice ease. Sometimes it's that easy swing you don't even get, and you just hit it right in the right spot.
That's what it was when I hit it out. It was like, I thought I couldn't see because on that one, it like was so bright.
Right, because you're hitting into the sun, right?
Hitting right into the sun, and I just like hit it, and I'm like, well, that felt good. And then it went out, and I was like, oh, that's very good.
I was talking to Hack about this, and we're like, we kind of just want to like before a game, just lob you, soft toss you.
Well, now there's the
batting cages.
Yeah, so it'll be fun.
They just put up the fence too, so
oh, cool.
But we were like, let's just sit and toss her balls and see if she can pull one out, just because I want to see it happen.
Just tries so hard.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming, and enjoy
you.
The rest of your summertime.
Thank you. It hasn't even really started. It's spring.
Yeah, enjoy the rest of your
feels like summer though.
Relaxing spring.
Thank you.
And then congrats on a great season.
Thank you.
All right.
Cheers.
You've been listening to the Low Pressure Podcast, the podcast for skiers. This has been a Redmark Media production.